Hello, I'm David.
Hi, I'm Julie.
So this is a lightning review of Meeple Monsters by AEG Games. This is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up. Takes about 45 to 60 minutes, but will take longer with a higher player count and when you're learning the game for the first time. So this is a bag building game where you are trying to defend this town here. And I have all the pieces on here. I'll be moving them off here from invaders. And the Dark Council are the main bad guys that you can fight at the end after you reveal 3 cards. And the cards will be buried in the invader deck here. You'll have level 1 monsters, which start out pretty weak. This tells you what their strength is. And you'll be using your meeples to defeat them. And as you acquire things, you can get more heroes to help defend the town, or quests that you can complete during the game or save to the end of the game to score points depending on the type of quest. So that's level 1 monsters, level 2 are here. So this improves your mages. They'll get +1 attack if you defeat this ogre. That's a level 2. And then you can get level 3 where they're even tougher. See, it's a 10 up there. And this makes your knights +1 if you defeat this one. And this is the victory points that you get. You'll get 4 victory points for defeating that one. In the Dark Council, at the very end of the game, you'll have 2 turns to attack the Dark Council. If you want, you can defeat invaders instead. But you'll see how strong they are and how many points they can give you, and they'll have some additional abilities as well. And the game revolves around these meeples here. They'll start out with 7 peasants and 3 corrupt meeples. This just basically clogs up your bag. And some of the meeples, you can get benefits if you draw a corrupt, like the clerk. If you draw a clerk and there's a corrupt, and if you've leveled up, you can level up your meeples. If you're a level 2 clerk, you can draw an additional meeple when the corrupt is drawn. So you'll draw 4 meeples after the first Dark Council card arrives, and you'll draw 5, then 6. Here are mages, warriors, clerics, knights, and then you can get some special classes here like the paladins. And each character player will have a bag, and these are really nice bags that you'll draw from.
Beautiful.
They're nice, good size, and they're sturdy. This is well crafted.
Mm-hmm.
And each player will have a board here. There's 4 of them. This is the 4-player game. And you'll see that your heroes all start out at level 1. The knights get 2 attack there. That's what that red 2 is in the upper left. And your warriors have 1 attack. But as you improve them, like I said, with different cards. What did I do with those cards? Oh, right here. So if you get a level 2 knight, for instance, you get this ability right here. During the development phase, if you have 1 or more knights in your tavern, you draw an additional person, and it still has a 2 attack. But then if you go to level 3, the highest level, if you have 1 or more knights in your tavern, you get another draw. And then this would be a 3 attack, which you're going to need to level up your meeples, your heroes, to defeat stronger monsters. Mm-hmm. And if I wanted to show you some of the quests here that you'll start out with some, and you can draw more as the game progresses. So this is a quest as soon as you complete it. If you draw 2 mages in your tavern, you get 1 point. But at the end of the game, if you don't complete it, you'll lose a point. And if you complete this, you'll get this ability that you would tuck underneath your mage. So what happens is, as you get things in the game, you'll tuck it underneath here depending on the character, like this. So it'll go like that right there. So you're building up your characters by leveling them in quest or defeating monsters. The phases of the game, this is where you'll keep track of victory points and the Dark Council that you can choose which ones. And you can defeat 2 of these at the end of the game. The henchman you can defeat twice, but only you could defeat 1 in 1 turn and 1 in another turn. The phases of the game are development phase. You only have these 4 available. But if you assign your peasants, you can get additional cards, and if you, for instance, place this card here, you'll get a cleric. And now, if somebody places a mage there, your clerks will have +1 attack for that round only. Other things that you do have a little bit of take that, where you can fight each other. This right here is where you level up. So you place meeples in these different places, and then monsters will be appearing here. There always will be 6 available to attack. So this right here tells you what zone. This would go in the yellow zone. We like to put it like this so we can see them. This might be in the red zone. And you can choose to attack or to take an ability here. Sometimes you'll do both because, like I said, if I have a lot of clerics, I might put a mage here so my clerics can do more damage to try to defeat this giant beaver. So you play until those 3 Dark Council cards come up. Then you have 2 turns. Each player will have 2 turns to attack the Dark Council. If Julie attacks this guy, I can still attack this person too. They don't disappear after you destroy them. And whoever has the most points wins. So let's take a look now at our rating system when we do the quick reviews here. So, is it a fun gameplay? What do you think, Julie?
Yeah, it is fun, but it's also there's also a lot going on too. I think my most fun is just looking at the colors of the meeples and having my beautiful blue bag.
Yeah, well, it's fun going after the monsters. We agree
Oh, it is
on
fun
that.
going after the monsters.
So,
yes.
For instance, if I place just 2 meeples here, or 1 meeple that has a 2 attack, so what happens is you'll be drawing out of the bag, and then you'll be putting your meeples on there. And so that's fun, is to draw meeples. Mm-hmm. You get them in your tavern, then you take them out of your tavern and assign them. That's the fun part of the game.
That is the fun part.
The part that's tedious is that it's very fiddly, because you can trigger abilities here. Yeah. You can have abilities underneath your player board that you have to keep track of. And then if you sometimes, when you defeat a monster, it will trigger something just right then and there. So it could be a lot of calculations later on in the game when you have to look at, okay, what level is it? Do I have something underneath it? Mm-hmm. Is there something I triggered here to attack that monster?
Yeah, true.
So it's fun.
It is fun.
Drawing meeples
Yep.
and attacking the monsters. It's not fun doing all the calculations.
No.
So the theme, you do feel like...
Oh, it's cute. I like it.
You are building up your heroes, your party. But it doesn't make sense that... Now, they did this for victory point purposes. Why aren't these destroyed when you attack them? When you attack them at the very end, you just attack them to get victory points, but they stay up. So it's anti-thematic that when you kill a monster out here invading the town, they're gone.
Yep.
But the Dark Council, they're left alive. And they did that for game purposes, for balance purposes, that if I'm going first when the Dark Council card comes up, I can defeat this guy, then no one else would be able to do that. That's why they did it. Oh. It's for game balance purposes, but it doesn't work thematically that the bad guys don't really die.
Oh, okay.
You're just putting together an army, and I guess you attack them, and they run away, and they go, see you again next time, He-Man, kind of thing. I don't know. Is that what's going on? Art, what do you think of the art?
I like it. I like the bright colors. It's kind of reminds me like a little bit of a cartoon, which is kind of cute.
Yeah, the art is well done. Mm-hmm. It's very colorful. It pops.
Oh, it does.
Sometimes you can miss things, like right here, this tree beast. Sometimes the graphic design can be difficult to understand what's going on. That's actually a level 2 monster there, but you can't tell with the claw there.
Yeah, you have to really look.
Yeah,
but it's a cool picture.
It's a cool picture, but you can get confused as to whether it's level 1. So there are some graphic design things that can confuse you, especially whenever I talked about fun to play. Well, here's all the icons you have to learn. Right here. This is all the things, and then because it doesn't provide you examples of how to apply it in different situations, sometimes you're thinking, am I understanding that right? So the iconography can be difficult to comprehend, to understand, especially your first time playing. Okay, so components.
Oh, they're just meeples, but the colors are great. The bags are my favorite.
The cards are linen, as they call linen. It's it means that it's been stamped for durability, so it's good.
Yeah.
Good cards. The meeples are solid.
Yep.
I think in the Kickstarter, they might be silkscreen. They might be better quality. Okay, these are generic, but they're solid.
Yeah.
The boards
Boards are nice.
are nice and thick. So good job on the components.
The bags are the best.
Oh yeah, these are some of the best bags I have ever seen in a game. And usually what you see in a bag, they'll have terrible stitching. Look at that right there.
It's just, I can't see it. There you go.
That is some of the best stitch bags I have ever seen.
They're awesome.
Because what happens usually with other games, you'll be putting your hand in the bag and drawing out
String.
thread.
Yeah,
Right.
thread. Yeah.
And they have a nice, what is that called there? Stitch.
Embroidery.
Embroidery, yeah. So bags are solid. Good job on the components. Complexity. This will take, I'm trying to get used to these new buttons. This will take experienced gamers to play
Oh, yeah.
at least one to learn it, because the rule book, you'll see, I'm going to talk about that, it makes it difficult to learn and play it correctly. An experienced gamer will have to teach other people. This is not for casual gamers.
No, I would not
A group
say
of
so.
casual gamers will have to watch videos, and even then they might have difficulty
Right.
understanding it, because, like I said, the biggest issue is understanding that these cards, like here, you kill this tree beast, you have to know then that this card goes underneath the warrior, and that when a warrior, actually, I think it would go underneath the mage. See, I'm still guessing. It goes underneath the mage. That means that the mage will get +1 attack when it's paired with a warrior. So you can see right there that calculation. And you had a couple of these. You had
I did.
3
It was very
warrior
confusing.
cards. So you had to, and each one of them triggered under different
Yes.
situations. So it's more complex than it needs to be. It
Yeah.
would have been. I would love to play this game more often if it wasn't that complex. I don't need all that trigger.
No.
I would just have fun killing monsters with meeples.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. I agree.
And so the playing time is longer than it needs to be
Yes.
because of that. And some people have talked about that. And maybe
It's
you just
too long.
remove a certain amount of monsters. That way you can get to the end quicker. But maybe that won't be balanced. Maybe you won't build up your heroes enough. So some people have talked about removing a certain amount of monsters
Okay.
to make it play quicker. The age in the audience. Oh, this is definitely for experienced gamers.
Yes.
As I already mentioned, you could play with the younger players if they're experienced. But they say 14 and up
Oh,
for the regulation. But if you have a 12-year-old or even a 10-year-old that handles more complex games,
they'll be okay.
They'll be okay if you help them do the calculations.
Yeah.
If your an adult is there to help. Now, design and the mechanics, as I mentioned, we both like destroying the monsters as they come in, drawing meeples, and improving our meeples to a certain point. We just don't like having to trigger things in the town, look at things on the cards, and then trigger things on when you destroy a monster.
Yeah.
That's too much. Maybe just one of those things needed to happen where you just improve your hero, and then that's all you have to worry about.
Sure.
Nothing else.
Right.
I think I would love to play a game like that.
Yeah.
Learning the rules, as I mentioned, there is a issue with the rule book. The setup can be difficult if you don't understand. I put a little note there for myself that you can have a difficulty the first thing you read here, you're like, which card is that? And some people have talked about that too. The rules are all here, but it needed a reference card for the phases. And then, especially when you get to the draw phase, and then right here, the cleanup, this goes hand in hand, these two things right here. But you see how they're paragraphs.
Yeah.
They needed more reference material for this. This is fine, but then they needed to include examples of how this applies.
Oh, yeah.
So it will be difficult for someone who is not an experienced rulebook reader.
Okay.
Okay, and then some of the things you got to read here, like, oh, I understand it better after reading the FAQ, and that's not something that you want to do. And then we have the educational merit. Well, there's some math here. Definitely some adding and some logical mathematical stuff, but it's a fantasy game.
Yep.
Other than that, let's take a look at how we would rate it. What would you rate it, sweetie?
I would do 5.
Take it or leave it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way it's designed, I would take it or leave it. I would rate this much higher if it just focused, like I said, on drawing meeples, maybe only improving them in one area, not having to trigger. This one trigger I'm willing to deal with.
Yeah, I agree.
Otherwise, it's too fiddly, and you're thinking, and then you get into analysis paralysis mode where you're sitting there going, do I do this, that?
Yeah.
And then it slows down the game even more. Mm-hmm. And then I would have liked to have had, at the end, the bosses, they actually die when you kill them.
That would have been nice.
Just include more bosses.
Yeah.
So if it's a 4-player game, include 8 bosses.
Yeah.
That way every person can kill 2.
Yeah.
Or one person can kill 1. And then that would make sense thematically. So there is some really good design stuff here. Mm-hmm. There's a game buried in here, a good game buried in here, but right now it is too fiddly for both of us, and that's why we rated a 5.
Yep.
I hope they consider doing a different edition of this, taking those elements that we like, and I can see that game being an 8, 9, or 10 if you were to do that.
I think so.
Definitely. Because we like drawing from a bag.
Love it.
Different meeples drawn out,
Yep.
assigning them. I mean, for instance, why couldn't you just have the clerics say they do board damage against undead? Because you do have different monsters here.
True.
And there's undead, like that's what that skull is. So the clerics do better against undead. Things like that. They didn't have to make it that complex.
No.
All right, so thanks for watching our lightning review of Meeples and Monsters.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you in the next video.
All right,
Bye.
bye-bye.